Michelangelo was born March 6, 1475 in Tuscany, Italy. At 23 years of age, he was commissioned on August 27, 1498 to sculpture the Pietà. This statue of Jesus and his mother Mary remains, in the eyes of critics, his most monumental achievement, unsurpassed in beauty. For the sculpture, Michelangelo searched the quarries for just the right type of stone. He often spent months in the city of Carrara, where he selected the marble and oversaw its extraction and arranged its transportation. Once the stout cube of marble arrived in the studio, the young Michelangelo went to work. He labored over it for almost 2 years, sweating over it in the sweltering heat of summer and shivering over it in the biting cold of winter. From its overall structure to its smallest detail, the Pietà is a work of unsurpassed beauty. A contemporary of Michelangelo wrote, "It would be impossible for any craftsman or sculptor, no matter how brilliant, ever to surpass the grace or design of this work." Now listen, if Michelangelo worked this passionately on the Pietà, how much more passionately must God be working on his piece of art? You. Ephesians 2:10, for we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. Kent Hughes says the word translated workmanship comes from the Greek word pomia, which we derive our English word poem. The Greek literally means that which has been made, a work, a making. And sometimes it's even translated poem. F.F. Bruce translates workmanship as his work of art, his masterpiece. So we are God's workmanship from beginning to end. You were created in Christ Jesus for good works. And these good works are not the grounds for our salvation. They are the result of our salvation. You are not a product of your own design or making. Believers are not self-made. You are God's workmanship. You are God's masterpiece. We find our worth and value through salvation and its resulting effects. And get this, you've only started to become all that God has intended for you. God will not rest until you, his workmanship, is everything he envisioned you to be. God uses different tools to achieve different ends. The hammers, the chisels, the rasps, the abrasives, they're all needed. And some consider these items to be tools of torture. But God utilizes these tools as his creative instruments to work a thing of beauty in our lives. With every strike of his hammer, with every bite of his sharp chisel, with every hard scrape of his rasp, God handcrafts his masterpiece. God fashions his exquisite work of art through every hard situation and circumstance of life. God handcrafts our character into the image of his son, Jesus. You are a work in progress. You are a masterpiece in the making. You are a rough, quarried stone being fashioned into a priceless piece for his glory. It says, we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. So don't resist the artist. Don't doubt your maker. Don't rebel against God, the sculptor, who is forming you into a thing of rare beauty. Walk in the ways God has prepared beforehand for you to walk in. And if you let God have his way in your life, you will become a monumental achievement of unsurpassed beauty. John Wooden died June 4, 2010. Just 4 months shy of 100 years of age. Wooden was considered by most as the greatest basketball coach of all times. Wooden led the UCLA Bruins basketball team to championship after championship. He built great men, not just great basketball players. Wooden demanded a lot from his players. And among the other things that he insisted on, he wanted his players to have short hair and to be clean shaven. Why? Because long hair would stay wet longer after a shower and heighten the player's chance of getting a cold and preventing them from playing. The story goes that after a summer break, future NBA great Bill Walton returned to UCLA sporting a lengthy beard and long hair. John Wooden took one look and said, "Bill, you're going to have to cut that." Walton in turn responded, "No, you have no right to tell me that. I have a right to wear my hair like this." Wooden paused before responding and then asked Walton, "Do you believe that, Bill? Do you believe it very strongly, Bill?" And Walton stated, "I absolutely do." "Well," said Wooden, "I like men that believe in things very strongly, that will stand up for what they believe and stay with it." Then Wooden added, "It's been really nice having you on our team, Bill. We're going to miss you." Bill Walton cut his hair and his beard and learned how to play ball like few men before or since. He would call Coach Wooden every week, later when he was retired and later when Wooden was in his 90s, just to tell him how much he loved him. Wooden, you see, was much more than a coach to his players. He became their father figure. He shaped them into men who seized incredible destinies. And that is exactly what God is doing for you. For we are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. Allow God to create a thing of beauty in you and be God's masterpiece.